Okay, so we'll talk about in a bit more depth. So you've got a lot of mental stimulus in the game, guys. There's a lot of things going on in the game. We've touched on before, and we'll sort of carry on touching on a lot of things in the game, not just on the field, but outside the field as well. There's a lot of mental, a lot of stimulus going in, and I suppose you could make a case in point at every sort of click of our fingers. There's like, depending on the science, but we could say there's approximately probably 20 million pieces of information hitting our senses every moment. So some of the literature suggests, and you've got to sort of filter that down. Otherwise, the brain would just explode, and you narrow it down to pieces till consciously narrow it down to about 5 to 9 pieces we've talked about before. You can notice consciously. So the key is what you're focusing on the game consciously is key, because subconsciously on the game, you've got loads of things going on. You've got the crowd. When you've got crowds, you've got the sound, you've got the plays, you've got so many things, so much mental stimulus. You've got things moving at speed, which is sort of key. And we're going to touch on this a bit more as well during our time together. And today we've got 50 or so players listening in, and you're all going to interpret, out of the 50 players today, you're all going to interpret information differently, which we'll touch on as we go along. So we talked about last week reaction time drills that are quite useful. You put them even in a diamond shape, different colors. For example, someone calls a color, you sprint to it, then you change it around a little bit. Yellow becomes blue, blue becomes, or orange becomes yellow, and you've got to think then, and reaction. These things, they go back to normal again. You can compete against someone, depending on obviously the rules and regs at the moment, you can do. Then you can sort of expand on that, and we'll talk about things you can do. One thing you can do to expand on that is even have like, you can stand in the middle of three gates, for example. So you've got, say, one gate is the yellow and orange, and you've got one gate being yellow and white and green, and so different colors, and you're in there. And if you've got a partner playing the ball into you, so you've got your back to the cones, and as the ball's coming in mid flight, he or she shouts the color, and then you've got to check over your shoulder. Now, some of these drills you'll have done before, some you may not have done before, some you may use timing gates. Yeah.
For the drill where you have like the different color gates, like how far would you want like the gates to be? Or like
that's a great question. For me, I would personally mix it up. I would start with, say, having the gates, say, you're in the middle, you've got a middle cone about 10 meters either side and 10 meters back, and the guy passing it in is, say, 10 meters away. But I would expand that. So I'd move them out maybe to 20 yards. I'm going to practice a pass. If the ball is being played in mid-flight, he or she shouts out yellow, and you're going to knock a long pass. Yeah, I'd space them out 20, 30. He was going to dribble through it, 10, maybe 5, come in 5. So I sort of work around that. But the key point, it's a really good question, by the way. The key is sort of, having our head up. And I showed you that video. We watch a play every week. Obviously, we watch a play every week. And we looked at the video. And when we looked at that video of Messi, for example, and I'm not suggesting by doing these drills, anyone's, who knows how far you'll go, by the way. But the point I'm making, we can all improve based on where we are. And if you look at the video, all of what you've mentioned was correct. Now, there's plenty of variables that make a Messi or any player for that matter. And I haven't seen Messi personally train live. I've seen him play live, but I haven't seen him train live. But having seen him play as a spectator myself, one thing I noticed he did really, really well, similar to many players that sort of I've seen, is head up one thing of many things. I've got pace, all the variables you said are really important, but one thing is really well, that sort of check his head up as the ball's being played to him. Does really, really well. We can all improve that. I can improve that. You can improve that. Anyone can improve that. And one way to improve that in a real life situation, as close as you can get, is sort of having the cones there for reaction. You might go to professional clubs. At the highest level, they've got little gates, and you can do that. But that's a great question. How far? Well, I think depending on the exercise, the outcome you want to gain out of it. And then what you can do to progress that, guys, is make it more realistic. The ball can get played in to your chest, to your feet, to your head, and then you've got to angle your body where you want the ball to go. Now, we all agree, we watched that little clip on Messi, that montage, is really good at angling his body where he wants to go. I suppose if you haven't got anyone to sort of do the drill with, you can sort of improvise against the wall as much as you can do. But this is a useful progression to do that. And so you play it in. And as I mentioned, you can sort of draw the cones out wide if you're going to practice your passing or sprint. So they're key things. And so another progression you can do, I've seen a question. I'll take that question shortly, guys. So another thing you can do that's quite useful too is an awareness reaction too. So, okay, you could stand 20 meters apart from your partner and you dribble towards him or her, and they fire the footballs in at you. So it's not just sort of a little slalom that you do for your drills. The ball's not coming in like, nothing like dodgeball or anything like that here. It's just basically you having your head up. So it'll be 20, 50 meters apart. You can sort of improvise again. You can do this without the ball as well. So you've got 10 balls and you run across and you help your reaction as well, but you can do it with the ball. So watch that video, you saw how well sort of Messi kept his balance. It was phenomenal. Obviously, to change direction. And as I said before, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute, there aren't any other, there's plenty of variables that make up players like that. But we can look at sort of, variables on their own and improve that. So the key thing is, say, maybe every 3 seconds, between 1 and 5 seconds, we talked about this last couple of weeks ago, when you receive the ball, you got about within a split second to 5 seconds, depending on where you are in the field, to make a decision. So you can improvise. You could do one exercise where the ball's getting fired in every second, or you can do another one where it's getting fired in every 5 seconds. If you wanted to, you can sort of improvise a little bit there, find a happy medium, maybe start with a certain time frame and build up as you go along. But they're sort of useful things to do going forward. So I sort of take questions. We'll build on this now. So I'll sort of stop the